Jacob, this podcast has gone to the moon. We are the elite. Oh, yeah. We're the elite of the elite, and that's why we wear Elite Sports, the only sporting brand company that supports Texas State athletes the way that they deserve to be respected. If you want to support the Bobcats and this podcast, shop at Elite Sports. The best athletes at Texas State are sponsored by Elite Sports. The best podcast is also.
Use code SQUARE at checkout for 10% off. One of the best college apparel companies in the country, Home Field. If you got A&M fans, if you got Longhorn fans, if you got begrudgingly probably in your life that you want to give a nice gift for, shop Home Field. Use code SQUARE at checkout, 10% off.
Jacob, when I wear Home Field apparel, I feel like I have a home field advantage.
Do you? Do you actually have one?
100%. I have a golden gopher shirt. Looks great on me. Girls are all over me being like, hey, do chicks really dig the long ball? I go, yeah, they do. 1957 World Series champs, Golden Gophers.
Tired of winning the tailgate but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, get on your feet. You're listening to Squarin' Around with Jacob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
Dude, you and me have been like opposite sides of the world. I texted you, or you called me, and I answered like I was a jealous girlfriend. I was like, where are you? How come you're not answering my text? How come you're not answering your phone? This is what the football season does to me.
I called you and you were asleep, first off, and apologized that I missed part of the show. And then
it is the whole fucking show.
Then you texted me and was all part of the show. What are we doing right now? This is part of the show, right? You fuck. Listen. So, and then you texted me, do you want to do an in and out? And people hit me up all the time to get food. And so I thought we were going to go get food. Then you go like, no, over Zoom. I'm like, what is this, a Zoom date? So and all of a sudden now I'm the person who's fucked up. And just,
Big boy Andy was like, oh, we're getting burgers right now.
Big back Andy. Yeah, dude. I was like, all right, let's go. A little animal style fries, bro. Nope. Instead, I got to do a fuck ass podcast.
This fucking clean ass cut I got though, bro.
Yeah, I know.
I'm doing this podcast, this part of the podcast, at least in the future. You'll notice in the interview, I'm wearing a hat. I'm very ashamed of my hairline.
Yeah, you look like every other Mexican now in San Antonio.
Not every other Mexican doesn't have a hairline as crisp as this, dog.
No, it looks like you should be playing soccer on the South Side.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of soccer on the South Side, Ish has driven a lot to the South Side this year. So that's why I wanted to converse with him. I have no idea. He told me he was in San Antonio a lot.
No, hang out. No, what the hell? No.
Yo, don't help your friends on the side of the road. My buddy Danny, a couple weeks ago, got into a car wreck. Guess who just got a toll bill in the fucking mail? Because I had to pull over and go chase his ass. Yeah. So I get punished as a good Samaritan. What the fuck country do we live in?
I know. This is Kamala Ding Dong's America, Jakey.
Jesus Christ.
I know.
We're going to get a bunch of new followers next week because of you just now.
Yeah. That's good. Make podcasts great again, Jakey.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Here's what I want to accomplish on this episode.
Oh, my goodness.
Me and Ish talked a lot about Texas State, about kind of the broader aspects of things. So the Ishmael Johnson interview is up next. You and I are going to talk about the back half, the actual matchup ahead for Texas State, because in my fucking interview-based skills, I did not bring up the most important part of this week.
Look, here's the other part, folks. This entire year, Jacob's been saying, I'm getting better at podcasting. I'm on my journalism stuff. I'm a great interviewer. And then he didn't talk about the game of the week. Yeah. So shout out to Jake.
Yeah. I mean, we
really like locking in.
We also did it, right? So
yeah, you know what next week is? Here, by the way, your
UTSA, and guess what?
Yeah,
I got that shit lined up, baby.
Who do you got?
I got Darian Starling, one of the OG members of the football team who does his Darian UTSA Talks podcast, coming on the show with us to talk about the Birds and the Bobcats next week.
So no Alamo Audible, no Craven.
No. We've already heard from those people. Okay. Alamo Audible, hey, they threw up a rival gang sign on us. All right.
I'm telling you, you know who you need to have?
We had them
next
last year.
Not this coming week. The next week, I want Craven on the pod. Because when Texas State whoops that UTSA ass, I want to bring him on the pod and talk about it.
That'd be good. Okay. You send him the DM after UTSA. Right. Or you have his number, right? You have his number?
Yeah.
You guys on a number basis?
Yeah.
He's probably gonna duck us. You might be. I'm kind of feeling a tickle coming on, guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's the interview with Ish. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Squarin Around. If you're an Andrew Zimmel fan, this episode is not for you, which means it's for everybody else. So that's like way more people, I think.
You hit a lot more demographics, I think, with that.
Way more demographics. Yeah. I'm joined by Dave Campbell. What are you now? Like the audience guy? Like social media?
Social media strategist is the official title.
The voice behind all of like the most salacious Twitter posts you've ever seen in your life. Ishmael Johnson, everybody. My friend and yours.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. No, it's always a good time to come on and talk Texas State, good or bad, regardless. And
I wanted to ask, like, what is the most insane DM you've gotten on one of the DCTF accounts? Has that happened yet or no? Because I guess you've had the keys to all of these for like a while. Like,
yeah. So I guess it's me and Gavin Moritz who run the socials full time. I don't know. Like, it's funny because like on Facebook we have a lot of the older audience, obviously, and like older, I mean like not just like 35 plus, like 60 plus. A lot of the older people who have social media and naturally gravitate to our brand. And so we get a lot of like customer service like things. And because we're not big enough in terms of like Dave Campbell's is not big enough to have like a customer service department. We have like, it is basically just us kind of relaying that. So like we'll get a DM like Salacious. I'll get to Salacious in a bit, but like a lot of them are just like, hey, where's my magazine? You know, like it's like it's basically, it's funny because like it's theoretically like you emailing Sports Illustrated or you DMing Sports Illustrated. It's like, where's my magazine? You know, so we get those a lot. But Salacious, I don't know. I think Will Wilkerson probably got rid of a lot of those because like I haven't gotten those. It's been a lot of like I had a back and forth with a school's Barstool account in the DMs once because we didn't rank them, or I think we ranked, or they were unranked or something like that. I didn't say anything bad because obviously I'm on the company account, but like it was very much like you're an idiot or whatever, and I like they used the wrong your, so I just like corrected them, and then like it was just something like that where it was like something that's classy but like not actually responding to them. So things like that. I haven't gotten anything crazy though. I think Will Wilkerson weeded, the guy who ran it before me, weeded a lot of that out. So I want to thank him because I heard it used to be kind of a cesspool.
Dang. Yeah, no, people just hard at us all the time if they disagree with anything me and Andrew.
There you go. Yeah, there's no
like,
DMs.
They're
just straight up at DCTF. You guys are idiots.
Yeah, which I guess is nice because it's like not like anonymous or like.
Yeah, I was about to say, hey, put your name
Twitter
to
fingers.
It, man.
Yeah, they put their name in their mouth or money where their mouth is a lot.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
respect.
I've been a fan of yours for so long, so it was cool to see you like level up in that aspect.
Yeah, appreciate it. It's been an adventure.
Like you and Craven have like taken me under your wing, so I appreciate both.
No, appreciate it. No, it's been cool. It's been cool. It's been a new venture because like obviously I've been a writer my whole life, and I'll still do some writing. But yeah, it is kind of like a new avenue for me, going more visual design, social.
But your Twitter's been fire for a long time, though.
Yeah, appreciate that. And it's always been a hobby, so like it's cool to like. Okay, let's see if this can turn into something. Yeah.
You got the call of the big show.
Yeah. And Craven's taking over the college stuff. He's the new college editor / senior writer now. So it's been cool. It's been a lot of really cool things have happened over the off season for DCTF. We hired a new chief content officer, Brooke Miller, who came in from, I think she worked previously at Longhorn Network, ESPN, a bunch of cool things. So she's kind of made some very effective moves like that to kind of move things around, put people in different places where she thinks they can shine. So I'm definitely thankful to kind of be part of that. So
very cool. The last time I saw you in person was at the bowl game. The last time you were on this show, we were talking about, I think I introduced you as like the guy who's probably the most starved for anything positive for this team to happen. Like really, I guess anything
Yeah.
like Texas State related to,
Yeah.
but moreover, like the football team. And so
Yeah.
now we've seen this like positivity stuff going on. Suddenly we're in all these national polls and people are
Dude, it's
mentioning
weird,
us
man.
on TV.
Feldman had us against Ohio State
Yeah,
in the
what the hell's
playoff or
going
something.
on? All last season, I equated it to an acid trip or like a mushroom or ayahuasca journey
Yeah.
because like I just couldn't believe anything that was going on right in front of my eyes as it happened.
Right.
But does that mean that there's like insanely more pressure on this year specifically for the Bobcats?
Yeah, I think so because like not only, you win 8 games and all of a sudden in the first year of GJ Kinney, right? And so like all of a sudden that becomes like the expectation. I was like, oh, we're gonna win 8 games every year. And it's like, that'd be great, or at least 8 games or like improving. And so like all of a sudden, if you would have told us after they moved on from Spav that Texas State has back-to-back seasons of 8 wins, you're probably like, hell yeah, that sounds awesome. But now, if you told us now, oh, we have 8 wins again, it's like, oh, what happened? It's like, oh, what went wrong? Because yeah, it's like there is weirdly more pressure now because I think part of that comes from we kind of know if there's another 8 to 9 win year, Kenny's probably not coming back, right? Um, and even though this administration is an administration I trust now to make the right hire again if they need to, um, or potentially keep him if the other situations like if Baylor doesn't open up or whatever, right? If another job doesn't open up and take or an appeal to Kenny, I definitely think this is a spot he can call home for a little bit. But there is that feeling of like, well, we got to win as much as we can now because we don't know if the next guy's going to be as good, if the next recruiting class or whatever, right? What these guys, Ishmael, if he has another year like last year, he's probably going pro. Joey Hobart, somebody who, the transfer portal's a thing. So like if any of these guys have a big year, it feels like Ashton Hawkins and TJ Finley being the only guys that really transferred out, major guys that transferred out, is like unheard of for a school of our level. Mm-hmm. And so like it feels like you can't get that luck again with guys like Mahdi, Hobart. I know Bell's about to graduate, but you get what I'm saying. Those kind of players, it's like, man, if we have another win like that, like yeah, Hobart is probably getting a call from Baylor or something. Like it just feels like that. So the fact that we were able to get them all back, the fact that Kenny's back, the fact that everybody else in the Sun Belt for the most part is like, Troy has a new head coach, South Alabama has a new head coach. It's like it kind of makes like that environment very just right. And so I understand where the hype is coming from because yeah, you want to strike while the iron's hot, but yeah, it is like a weird pressure cooker now to be like, all right, you won like 4 games a year ago. Now you're, make the playoff or, like host a championship game all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, the fact, or I guess maybe the lack of facts on whether or not Texas State can go band for band with other schools trying to poach players or coaches away does keep me up at night. Not that I don't think we could potentially,
sure.
But it's like whether or not that mechanism does it or not, like at what point, I mean, all those players that you mentioned just now, in the words of Coach Z, were hit up probably with like Volkswagen Jetta money in the offseason, like to go to other schools, to go to other places, because that happens in basketball, for her great women's team. So,
yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
It's like it's weird because I think we've found a good niche in terms of like, Maroon and Gold Collective, Victory Star Fund, like they're doing a good job of like with what we have and fundraising for the fan base that we have. I'll give Kelly Danfus and Don Coryell, credit. They've obviously gotten the stadium naming rights deal is massive, and the getting the end zone complex done. Like that's all stuff that needed to get done, and like the fact that we have a similar deal to a school like North Texas stadium wise, because like I think DATCU, their bank stadium, I think that's for the same amount of time, the same span. I think it's like 5-10 years. I can't remember. Ours is like $1 million more, like $1 million or $2 million more over the same span. And the fact that a school like North Texas, who again, you look at their stadium. Apogee is a great design stadium. Like, it was more expensive than Bobcat Stadium. They have an indoor facility. They have money. It's in the North Texas area where that DFW money comes from. And the fact that they were able to land a deal that's better a year after, right? It wasn't like that deal was like 10 years old and we just caught up, we signed it now. They signed it in 2013 or 2013 last year. And then we announced ours this year. So it's like, okay, so they're doing some things that I'm very curious about. Making these financial plays that, again, we'll see when a team comes knocking for GJ Kinney or for these players. We'll see how much we can go toe to toe with them. Obviously, there's a school like there's in the Big 12 that we can't swing with, right? But I'm curious. Like, we've seen Sunbelt coaches get poached by the AAC. Is like, are we in position to be able to say, yeah, we're more enticing than a UTSA in North Texas, right? Like, you're not going to jump. You're not going to make that jump. You may make the Houston, Baylor, A&M, whatever jump, but if you're a running back, if you're Ishmael, you're not going to get swayed by Tulane, I don't know. From what I know, they have enough money NIL wise to take care of some of their guys, their main guys. But like you mentioned, yeah, it's still Ford Jetta money. And it's SMU can sign all these guys to $23,000, like whatever their roster. I think it's like 20,000 or something like that they can sign each player. We can't do that, but like we can take care of our main guys. And if we can do that, that's honestly probably as good as it's going to get at the G5 level.
It's totally unfair to be SMU, honestly, in this brave new world of college football.
Oh, dude, they are loving this.
Just hit up every other lawyer in Dallas and be like, "Hey, we need your money," or George Bush himself. I don't know.
Yeah, I was about to say they just straight up just like, "Hey, Mr. Bush, you want to donate some money here?"
Yeah. Specifically, up and down 35 too.
Yeah,
I mean, Texas is Texas. Obviously, that's like a no-brainer. If they see a really good player, they're going to be like, "Hey, do you want a Ford Focus right now?" Or whatever. Car name, right? And then UTSA just got a medical school, so they get like so much money with that. I saw a tweet from a national writer like, "Did UTSA just eclipse Texas Tech in like relevancy?"
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but there's a lot of money.
Yeah, I was about to say that's a lot of money, and also like let's not forget UTSA has Valero down there. So, you've been in San Antonio region. Like, Valero is not a nothing thing down there in San Antonio, right? That's how. I mean, people were wondering. It was a joke last year in terms of like a tongue-in-cheek joke about like, oh, Frank Harris is back, for his 7th year. There was a reason why. It was like Valero ponied up. Like there was he was getting like a good mill. I'm not joking. Like I would not be shocked if that was like close to a mill, if not over a mill that he was getting from a collective of those companies in San Antonio. San Antonio is a major city in the state and one of the probably more underrated major cities in the country. So like, yeah, there's money down there. And it's kind of a summary of Texas State in terms of like, are they San Antonio? Are they Austin? Do you go to Austin businesses, San Antonio? So like, it doesn't surprise me about UHCU because, what is it? Oh God, what is it? Did I say it right?
UFCU.
UFCU. Yeah. That doesn't surprise me because they're an Austin branch. And yeah, you got to go outside. Obviously, you're not going to win any bidding wars with just Sam Marcus, right? You have to go to Austin. You have to go to San Antonio and play that middle. So they went and got a branch that's based out of Austin, but like it could work to their advantage, right? Like we just saw, like that's a great deal that is technically like more of an Austin quote unquote, thing. But Texas State can play that card and say, hey, we're only 40 minutes south of y'all. Like, why don't you throw us some money? I'm curious if they start doing that with San Antonio, if UTSA lets them, because I know there's been some like fun billboard wars going on, like UTSA fans saying, why do they have a billboard in San Antonio and all these different things? Is that the next play? Because they see that San Antonio has a lot of money. Is that, trying to attract some of those businesses up there to start donating as well? So we'll see.
Yeah. And then there's going to be a Buc-ee's that is built in San Marcos, unrelated.
Which is crazy because like there's one in New Braunfels.
Yeah. And it's just going to mess up traffic way more in my beloved city.
It really is. That's the
first thing I thought of when my mom texted me that. And I was like, oh, come on, man. Like if I don't get stuck behind a train, I'm going to get stuck behind everybody trying to get gas or a Slurpee or whatever.
That exit, especially because like that 35 area, because I've driven through to San Antonio a ton this summer. And that whole 35 area from like, I'm trying to think, basically from the stadium, roughly the exit of Ocarina, all the way to the outlets is like a nightmare already. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
like I can't imagine adding a Bucky's and adding that exit to whatever exit that's gonna be. That's just gonna make there's already construction going on there. That's gonna make it absolutely unbearable. So yeah, I didn't even think about the traffic. That's crazy.
I totally have given up this season on trying to make any of like the like midweek stuff that the team like does, like the press
Oh yeah,
conferences. Just
not
like
happening.
trying, like I killed myself last year trying to do it, and I was like, okay, I'm not doing that. We're taking some pressure off of the gas. I can just watch these clips on YouTube after the fact. It's totally fine.
Yeah, that's been me too.
Yeah, the UFCU deal too, I think took maybe just under a calendar year when they announced that they hired a search committee, and then when
Right,
they
yeah.
actually did it.
That's
It
a good
looks a
point.
little, the stadium itself, I guess, looks a little fugly. It's in its glow up stage right now
Yeah,
because they're
yeah.
still like making the pavilion and stuff like that. But the turf and like all the signage and stuff that they put up in like a relatively short amount of time is really pretty. So you guys are
I
in for a
think
treat week 1.
Yeah, I was about to say I saw the last time I was out there was when I stopped for the magazine. And it was still the whatchamacallit. It was the last couple of days of the padding in the end zone, right? For the blocking the construction. So I haven't seen it in person at least. I've seen a lot of videos and it looks really, really good. I'm very excited for that, but it is frustrating to like we're what roughly I'd say 2 years now into the Damphus Coriel administration, and
Yes.
they've already like fixed like 80% of the things that we were like complaining about for like 20 years. Like it's very
Yeah.
frustrating that it was like, oh, so we weren't just stupid, right? We've like this is these are things that could have just happened.
This was a
Like
concerted
we got a
effort to
stadium,
not do this. Yeah.
right? Right. Like we got a stadium naming rights deal. We got end zone facility. We got a new turf. We got all these different things, and it's like, okay, like we got marketing, right? Like actual like marketing in campus, and like we have a block party. We have people like ready to go to games, and like we have better
built-in
in
hype.
stadium atmosphere. Yeah, like it's a hype. I was about to say, you go to look. What was the moment last year for you that you were like, oh my god, what is this home game atmosphere?
When we came back against ULM, and that was just like a really packed out game. I don't think it was like the record for that year.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
Raven
yeah.
was there, and that was when he was on his like cursed tour, like where
Yeah,
every
yeah,
team he visited
yeah,
was
of losing. Yeah,
So everybody was already giving him a ton of shit in the press box.
yeah.
And then they came back and they did the light thing for the first time. And apparently that's when GJ says that they signed 2 kids from Monroe that day because they remember just that atmosphere. But yeah, that was nuts. And I was
The
right
light.
next to Kenny's wife, actually, Summer, who was
Yeah.
losing her mind on the sideline. It was awesome.
Yeah, I do remember the light atmosphere and all that, and that went viral. I think that one like that was pretty big
And we
on
got
social media.
reposted on CFB, college football, or
Yeah, and it was like
Reddit CFB.
you're just there, and you're like, I mean, you were there going to when you were going to school at the games. They're like
Mhm.
legitimately night and day.
Yeah,
But
Zimmel
what-
actually won fan of the year or fan of the game.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that he would win that, but he was in the stands that game. And
It
I
was
got
like we used to put memes of like I think there was one of my favorite screenshots. I think is of I think it was during a Louisiana game where a kid was like juggling in the stands.
Mhm.
And it's like it was at a Texas State game, but it was like one of the shots was just him juggling, just because it was him with like 12 other friends in like one section, and they were getting blown out by like 30. And it was like that used to be a meme, was like, oh, how many people are really here? Like that
Yes.
was a game we used to play in the press box a ton. It was like, oh, announced crowd, quote unquote, of 10,000, and there's like 3,000 maybe. And yeah, seeing that, and then I think I went to the Troy game, which of course they lost, but that atmosphere, they did the light thing again, and I was like, what happened? Like, what is this stadium? It felt like I was at a different stadium.
Yeah.
And
You were super drippy for that one too, by the way.
I appreciate that.
Your
Yeah, I
game
tried
day
to.
fit. I was like, dang, we're big time now. Look at that. We got reporters in suits now. Look at us.
It was a good time. Wish they would have won that one. But it was like going there, you're like, oh, this is actually like a home field advantage. Like this is actually like a thing that's like, if you're an opponent, this is probably tough to play in.
Yeah.
If you're at home, if you're obviously with Texas State, like you mentioned against ULM, you're probably hyped as hell, ready to, give these fans a good show. And if you're a coach, you probably like, yeah, hell yeah, let's get this thing built,
Yes.
So it's just crazy to think about, like, again, 2 years into this administration, which is why obviously I would love Kenny to stay as long as he can, but of course I know the business, I know, the industry. I'm not worried about finding the next guy because whether or not we're gonna miss on somebody in the next whatever, right? We're gonna miss on if it's the next head coach, the next one after that, or whatever. Um, but I know that it's not like it felt like a death spiral after a while, right? Where you're like, well, okay, Brad Wright, when my senior year or my freshman year, when Brad Wright was his last year, like, oh, we can't keep this guy. And then Francione came in. It's like, okay, he did some things. I think everybody should, in my view, looks back on the Fran era a lot better than I think it ended. But like at the time, it was like, okay, fine. Ends. Okay, what's happening? The Withers era. What's happening? Spav. What's happening? It was like it just felt like a continuous like. There's no fixing this. And now it's like they hired a guy who obviously was a great hire, and but also like they fixed the plane. Right. They didn't just hire the great pilot, but like the plane's awesome now. And so it's like if that pilot leaves, okay, we'll just get another one because the plane's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's the perfect analogy. Because I think I went to school in like what a lot of people would call like the dark period for this team, 2016 to 2020.
Yeah.
COVID and stuff aside, but that was like when I think Withers' first year was 2016, and then it was like through like Spab's like first year. It was like my whole tenure there. I wrote an article for the Star at one point that was like Jake Spavital is the most important person in San Marcos. Here's why, and it was like basically like what happened last year could have happened a long time ago if they had gotten it right. Or
I was about to say, like, I think you look back at like a lot of the head coaches. I'm not saying things turn out differently, but like it doesn't surprise me that like everybody who's left has basically said the same thing, right? In terms of like it's a lot more than just what's happening on the field. It's like there's a lot more to fix. And like again, I'm somebody who is of the belief that even though it didn't work out, I think the Withers hire needed to happen in terms of like tearing down the program. Like I think like this thing needed to be brought down to the soil. Again, what happened, I thought the recruiting, it got back to recruiting, right? And I think the Spav hire was supposed to take those recruits and take them to the next level. But again, he got here and even he was like, there's a lot more that's behind the scenes that I can't help. And then eventually when that administration left and the new one was brought in, it was obviously too far gone. So like they needed to move on. I don't think Kenny, this Texas State team works under the last administration. I don't like.
No, I don't think so either.
I think Kenny's a great coach and he's going to be coaching for the next 20 years, incredible teams and incredible programs and have an insane career. I don't think that happens under Larry Tice. I really don't. Under Denise Trouth. Because it was like there was an apathy, right? And I think fans felt that. It was like as long as the program's not. And the program, I mean the football program, right? Obviously, a lot of other programs were doing really well, but football required more hands-on approach, and I think that they didn't care to do that, or they didn't see it as an exclusive. Like they didn't feel they needed to single out football. I guess, right? Yeah. It was like, well, basketball can work just fine doing its thing, and
look at volleyball.
Yeah, look at volleyball. We're winning championships, and it's like, man, we struck gold with a coach who was here for 40 years. Like we struck gold with Karen Chisholm. So like, you can't do that with football because of all the money that's involved and how much you have to be proactive in things. And so, I think they were more of a laissez-faire, like you guys got it. But it's like, no, we need help. Like, don't say I got it because I don't know how to drive this thing, So yeah, I like I said, that goes back to the whole thing about like just changing the whole identity and changing the trajectory of it.
We've had like a series of guests on this show. Charles Austin, shout out. But then Kenny and then Don Coryell last week, and I was talking about like access and like how much like access itself has really changed for not only the school but like the department, but also the school overall. Like how much access is like granted now, because my little podcast now gets like insane credentials to things, But we had Don on last week, when I was, I think my junior year, I had to chase Larry Ties through a tunnel to talk about the
Dude,
Fire Ties thing because he just wouldn't talk about it.
he
So I
wouldn't talk about it.
ran.
And it's like, I get it. I was about to say, I get it. It's awkward to talk about, but like, dog, people on social media are wanting you
Blaming you.
gone. Talk
Yeah.
about it. Like,
You couldn't walk around San Marcos.
yeah. Like, it was the one, like, that's my favorite story to tell from when I was a beat writer. I talked to this local beat writer, Sam. I talked to Larry Tice once on the record. No, it wasn't even off. It was off the record. He was just they were hosting the Sunbelt baseball tournament, and that was the only time I ever talked to him. And it was off the record. It was like for maybe 3 minutes, and then he left, and he was gone. When they were at a base, when they hosted Georgia State, I think it was the men's basketball hosted Georgia State on ESPN2. It was a massive game for them. I remember because it was supposed to be for like first or second in the conference, and they ended up getting embarrassed. One of Casper's, I think that might have been the team that eventually went to the championship game. But ESPN2 major showcase game, and they got embarrassed. And it was like maybe a couple minutes into the first quarter. I was late, and I'm parking. And or first half, I should say. I was late, so I was parking and walking and rushing to the arena. He's already leaving because there was a high school playoff game being played at Bobcat Stadium. And I just remember him going, "Oh man, I got to see this football game." It's like, why? We're on ESPN2 right behind you. Why are you going to see a game that's not anybody from here? It's like Dripping Springs and somebody else. Like, why are you going to that? And so I just remember that, and I was like, that's a good summary of like his tenure. Is like, oh, national spotlight. Let me go to the other side of the city real quick to go to the football game.
Yeah. I'm grateful for that era, like 2016 to 2020, because for all like I guess flack that I give that current or that previous administration, like I was in some of those conversations and stuff where I was like, am I with lizard people right now? Like, what is going on? How am I in this like high level conversation right now?
Sure, yeah.
It was cool, but like not a lot came out of it. You know what I'm saying?
I was about to say it did help like, you know, one, I'll say this, because there was so much frustration, there were people talking around, right? Like in and around the department. We're saying like, yeah, no, you're not just crazy. This is kind of not the way things should go. Two, you were able to kind of stumble your way into access, like you mentioned, where it was like, it wasn't like official access where it's like, hey, here's a press release or whatever, but it was kind of like, I'm just kind of having this conversation. Should I be in this conversation right now? You know, like it was like with those things where you're like, should we be talking this openly about this and this and this? But like,
you would go in for like a game recap story or something, and then you would leave with like, is our athletics department completely fucked? Like, and so there was like, those are conversations I was having all the time, mostly off the record, but yeah.
No, 100%. I agree. Like it helped harden you because you're like, okay, I can talk about this. I can't talk about this, but it also provided you like a ton of insight into what's actually happening.
And then because you know this too, because you covered the team for so long, but like because not everybody covered the team as consistently.
Here comes my cat up here.
We were some other people. I was just saying, like, you know this too, because like not everybody covers the team super like continuously.
Yeah.
But like guest appearance.
Yeah, from my cat Mezit. But was it not everybody can continue? Yeah, that's a good point. Like, you know, it's a lot of like in and out. Obviously student reporters in and out. Honestly, it's been like consistently, I mean, even I can't say consistently, but or for myself, but like over that span, Kef, me to some extent, Colton now,
Nick,
Drew, and then you guys. That's kind of it, honestly. Like, because everybody else is like a student. Greg Luca as well. Greg Luca's been part of those now. But yeah, the Statesman's been like in and out, right? They maybe send a guy. They maybe obviously Kef was there for a while, but like the columnists don't really come around. So it is like I think Fran obviously was a big part of that as well at one point because like a lot of those guys had connection to Fran.
Yeah, the Star had lunch with him like every week, and then they would like feel good.
He was. I really do think like it was frustrating the way it ended, but I do think like we need to look back on the Fran era as like a lot better than I think we do. He was brought in to do a job get us to the FBS level, make us competitive. And he did that. He probably stayed on a year too long, as many coaches do. But I think you look back and it's like, what was it? 6 wins, 4 wins, 6, 7, 3, or something like that.
Mhm.
That's pretty damn good for a transition program. I don't think it's fair that we get compared to Georgia Southern because like they were winning national championships and then they just moved up and we were like barely making the playoffs in FCS and we moved up. But I do think that Fran, again, he stayed 1 year too long, but I think the era, he was actually great to the media. He didn't have anybody off the, like, I remember I asked to talk to Tyler Watts when he was a walk-on as a freshman in like his 3rd practice, and he let me. That is something unheard of, right? I was like, oh, this guy was pretty good. I looked up his stats. I remember it was one of my first stories for the Daily Record when I was working with Joe, and I was like, oh, this guy has pretty good stats at Brenham. I was like, oh, he's at Texas State, and I was like, oh, he's pretty making some good waves. Okay, I'll go talk to him. Why not? And he did not know how to talk to media. He talked to like maybe the Brenham paper at one point, and that was it. But he was great. And like Fran was like, yeah, sure, I don't care. Like it was like, you go talk to him. Especially dealing with Withers next, where it was like, yeah, you can't talk. You can talk to these 4 guys the whole year, basically.
The entire year. That's why I'm friends with Brian London. Like that's how often we talk to him.
Funny enough with Brian. So his first year, it was Tyler Jones, Gabe Lloyd, Gabe Schrade, and who was one other offensive guy? It was one other offensive guy. Or no, defensive guy, sorry. Javante O'Roy at safety. We did not talk Brian London, because Gabe Lloyd was the senior linebacker, and Brian, I think it might have been Brian's red shirt freshman year. He had like 3 or 4 10+ tackle games. We could not talk to him till like October. It was like, can we please talk to this freshman who had 14 tackles against Arkansas? And it was like, nope.
For as many wins that those teams did not have, they were like the University of Texas in terms of like media engagement. They're like, you cannot talk to any freshman at all.
Right. And it was like, why? They're playing. Like it's like, I get it, you're Texas, you can tell us no, but like Texas State, come on. Like, are we serious right now?
It was crazy. So, like you were saying, we went down this whole trip down memory lane. A lot of things have changed for the Bobcats. A lot of things might continue to change for the Bobcats. You mentioned maybe if we are amazing this year, we might have to say goodbye to DJ Kinney and a few other people, and then say hello to a few more. Yeah. But like looking at this year's schedule, because if anything has to change, they have to win first. Yeah. Like, is there a way we could go 4-0? Are you like just looking at the first 4 games? What do you think?
Yeah, which is kind of scary. Like it's kind of crazy to think about because, again, for those who aren't sickos who don't know, they're the 4 games off the bat: Lamar, UTSA, Arizona State, Sam Houston. Those are winnable. Arizona State is a rebuilding team, right? This is not a typical like, oh, they're hosting a Power 5's team, and it's like, oh, we're gonna be underdogs, right? Texas State's gonna be underdogs. That's gonna be a thing. But this is a team that completely gutted the roster last year, right? Like this is a team, Kenny Dillingham, I think is going to be a good head coach for them, but like they are rebuilding with a capital R. I'm trying to think, they won 3-9 last year. They brought back, they kind of I don't want to say cleared house again, but like they kind of brought in more guys. I think they have a new quarterback this year and Sam Levitt. They brought in Jeff Sims, who was the Nebraska quarterback last year, who wasn't very good, but he's, they brought him in to try to do some things. They have like a bunch of random Texas guys because they also have Brian Carrington as one of their guys who's used to be Texas's recruiting coordinator. So like they have random like guys like Prince Dorba, who I remember from like Highland Park, who was a pretty good player. Where it's like, oh man, like they have talent, but they may be a year away. Yeah. And so like, would I pick Texas State to win? Probably no. But this is a team that if I look back and it's like, oh yeah, they snuck that one out, I wouldn't stun me. Texas State has a lot more players that have played together back, and this is still a young team. I think Kenny Dillingham is barely 30. Oh, he's 34. Okay. So like 34, first year, last year was a first-year head coach. Again, I wouldn't pick him to win, but 4-0 on the table, and that's kind of is on the table, and that's kind of scary.
The only thing I know about Arizona State is that they are not very good because in CFB 25, I played Road to Glory as a 5-star wide receiver, and they cannot get me the ball in open space. Anything. Like, it's terrible. Yeah. But yeah, I'm a huge 4-0 guy to start the season. I think it is possible. The scariest one, of course, to me is week 2, UTSA. Because if we lose that one, like, just throw the entire thing away. I can't do it. I've just tried to do a season preview episode with Jared. And then, like, if we do that, I'm never going to hear the end of it the entire year. It's terrible.
That's a good point. It has to be this year, right? Like, I felt like I've said that for the past 3 years, I think 3 or 4 years, that it has to be this year. But God, it's
not defund the football program and the podcast.
I mean, honestly, we're getting to that point. We're getting to that point. So the frustrating thing is, because Frank Harris is gone, everybody's like, oh man, this is the year. And I get that. The problem is, and Jared, I think will tell you this too, this is their best roster. UTSA's best roster. Frank Harris is gone, obviously. Generational
on defense. They're amazing.
Their defense is insane. Denver Harris was the number 1 player in the state of Texas when he came out in 2021, I think, in high school football. He's now their starting cornerback. They just got Bowens from Oregon. They're getting these guys who are like, it's a great strategy of like, hey, were you a top recruit that just didn't pan out at your first stop, and you want to come play for a team that's going to be good? Come to UTSA. And that's what's frustrating about it is because, yes, Texas State should be favored in that game. That does not mean that this is going to be an easy game, right? It's very frustrating because, like, UTSA is like, oh, they got rid of Frank Harris. Cool. Literally every other position is better than it's ever been. Now sometimes that may be enough because UTSA has been a lot of like Frank Harris doing shit, right? Like last year, I was at that game last year where it was like, oh, cool, Frank Harris is out. Oh, never mind, he's coming back, and then he just like wills them to like score just enough to beat us again.
It's insane.
It was crazy. And then of course he misses like the next 2 weeks, so he just like has enough strength to get through that one game to beat Texas State one more time.
That Valero money talked, man. That's the reason he came out of the medical tent. Yeah,
he really did. Let me see. I was trying to find these guys. Johnny Bowens, the third, one of the recruits from Oregon. Ian Jackson from Bama. Kendrick Blackshear from Texas. I mentioned Denver Harris. I mean, it's an insane level of talent. Jalen Garth from Houston. Yeah. It is going to be, I think it's going to be last year was a great game and a great atmosphere. I think this year's going to be the best game both these teams have played against each other. I genuinely do.
It's just going to be so hot when they do play.
It's going to be so hot. It's of course outdoors because we have our own stadium, and it's going to be sold out. And I'm going to be very disappointed if it does not break at least top 2 all time.
Over under.
It's going to break it.
Over under on fights in the stands ish. What do you think?
I'll set it at 1.5. I'll set it at 1.5. I'm gonna go
at least one
with the. Yeah, I was about to say it's gonna get at least one. I'll go with the under. I'm gonna go with the under. I think we'll go with the under. Just because I think they'll be on high alert.
Oh yeah.
And I think one may break through. I'm more thinking on the opposite sideline, obviously, like the UTSA sideline where their crowd and our crowd is gonna intermingle. But yeah, that atmosphere is going to be insane. I'm trying my hardest to make it down there. We may have Carter down there. I know, or I think we will have Carter down there. But I'm trying my hardest because that's going to be movie stuff, man. That's going to be like legitimate movie stuff of like, here's a stadium that's big enough to where it's going to create a great atmosphere, but like small enough to where it's going to sell out and it's going to be intimidating and it's going to be hostile. Mm-hmm. What the hell happens? I don't know. The last time they were here, we missed an extra point and we lost. So
yeah, it's going to be electric. I'm super excited for it.
Yeah.
But Texas State plays like first like 3 at home, so then there's only 3 more.
It's a very weird schedule. Yeah.
And so like you get like your back half of the season is like backloaded. I think we finish at Monroe. No, South Alabama. Yeah. Yeah. Last game at home is Georgia State at Texas State, November 23rd. So yeah, I don't know. What is the biggest trap game on this schedule to you? To me, it's Arkansas State after last year when they just blew us up, and now they're coming to Texas State, and everybody's hyping up this like rivalry, right? Not rivalry. You got the Kelly Damphus narrative in there. He was over there, then he came over here.
Yeah.
Their
I
stadium,
think
by the way, very pretty. They got like a waterfall in it. That was kind of sick.
it's kind of, yeah, it's actually a really underrated stadium. I think my trap game, that's a good one. I think it's the next week. I think it's Old Dominion
Ooh,
because you have Arkansas State obviously after the crazy gauntlet of, UTSA, Arizona State, Sam Houston, which again is a rivalry game. So like that's going to be an interesting one at a neutral field. Troy, Arkansas State, and then you get, quote unquote, your first gimme conference game, quote unquote, against Old Dominion. And then you got Louisiana the next week, who you're like, we got to beat Louisiana.
yeah.
So it's like, I think
time ever.
yeah, my trap game is going to be Old Dominion because it's like if you beat Arkansas or if you lose to Arkansas, you're holding on to that. And then, in my opinion, I mean, again, this is the job of the coaching staff. I'm looking ahead to Louisiana. I was like, well, we gotta make sure Louisiana's good to go. But by the way, there's a little trip to Virginia versus Old Dominion in there. I don't think they're going to be that good this season, but as we saw last year, you blink, all of a sudden Arkansas State hands you 70, and all of a sudden it's like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah. Or like
yeah,
to me, the most frustrating loss last year was against Coastal when I don't know what TJ was fighting through, but he was obviously dealing with something. And then we got diced up by a third string quarterback. Shout out Ethan Vasco. I think it's Ethan Vasco.
Vasco, yeah.
But yeah, he has a gorilla tattooed on his arm because he went bananas in that game. That was Andrew. That was a good tweet by Andrew.
That's a great one. That's a great one from Andrew.
But yeah, that was an insane loss. Arkansas State also crazy. Of course, heartbreaking in Louisiana. Yeah, I was upset.
Yeah.
Mac Leftwich, though, is the Grim Reaper of ODU. Statistically, his best game ever as a quarterback.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
I talked to him about it last year, and he was like, "Yeah, it's fun."
He's such a low key guy to talk to. He's very much like no BS, but also like not much description either. Like he's very much like to the point with everything. I'll say this about the offense this year. Like everybody, of course, looking at Jordan McLeod and like the excitement naturally, and I'm definitely,
of course,
excited to see him. I do think not a lot of people who didn't keep up with Texas State last year don't realize how much we turned the damn ball over. Like, again, I will always appreciate TJ Finley for what he did. He's been by far the best quarterback since Barrick Neely, probably, this program has had. There were too many damn turnovers. And anytime, a lot of them from him, fumbles, like the worst interceptions. Anytime somebody was in the pocket, you thought he just knew he was going to fumble. And I wonder if that played a role in, I don't want to say them pushing him out, but them not being mad if he left, right? Because of course the Delora situation, and then obviously that, whatever.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up because a lot of people now just brush through that history, and I'm like, wait a minute.
That's the thing is like, I talked to some people around, and I put a timeline together, and it basically came down to, because yes, it was confusing. Why would you go after Jaden Delora when you have TJ Finley? It basically came down to a bunch of things. One of them was they did not know if he was coming back. Right, that was a legitimate.
He refused to say anything either. Like
that was the thing.
Before the bowl game, after the bowl game, really.
So all the if you remember, all the players did not announce until after the bowl game, right? I think Kef talked about like they like made sure they weren't going to say anything or something like that, but they were going to play the bowl game. All of them played the bowl game, which is almost unheard of in this era. And then, of course, Ashton was the first one to leave, naturally reunite with Spav. He was going to leave last year anyway. Kenny convinced him to stay. So cool. That one's fine. The last one, the big ones were Mahdi and Finley. Mahdi announced he was staying. And then Finley like delayed for like an extra week. And
then he made like a few tweets that were like, I think I'm going to stay.
Right. It was like, but is it really? And so
next thing you know, you got an NIL agent in everybody's like,
it was like, what's happening here? And so I'll just say you right now, the staff was like, we got to move on. Like the staff, that's what that him kind of delaying his announcement eventually is what got the staff looking elsewhere. Now, we can have a discussion about how they ended up on Jaden DeLaura of all players, but that's how the wheels started going in terms of like we have to, because we can't get caught with holding the bag, right? We can't get caught empty-handed in case he does leave. Finley just leaves. And so they basically they choose to be proactive and is like, let's recruit a quarterback. And if he leaves, he leaves. And that's just the way it is. So Finley announces he's staying. They're basically, if I have the timeline right, they're basically at the 5-yard line with DeLaura when Finley announces he's staying. And so they're like, we got to pull the trigger on this, man. Like, sorry. And so they get DeLaura. Finley announces he's leaving. And then, of course, all the rest happens. All the situations going on there happens. DeLaura ends up leaving. They bring in Jordan McLeod in an insane Hail Mary to get the Conference Player of the Year. But in the end, I think they moved on from Finley because they thought that they could have done better, right? Yeah. I think that there was an idea that as great as he was, a lot of his issues I don't think get fixed, like in terms of like in playing another year. I think he has a great arm. I think he has the potential to be a Conference Player of the Year if all the things go right. But pressure gets to him in the pocket. Decision making is very baffling at times, and he just can't hold on to the ball a lot. And so I think that's why they went with DeLaura. I think they legitimately thought DeLaura was a better quarterback, and I know they think that McLeod is a better quarterback. So,
100%.
Yeah, and so again, I don't want that to make it sound like they hate Finley or whatever. That's not what I've heard. Yeah. It was just situationally they had to make a call, and they made one, and luckily it played out correctly because obviously they have Jordan McLeod now. But yeah, there was a spot where it was like, ooh, what kind of happened here?
This may be the worst analogy ever for all of that, or the best analogy ever. It was like when the Democratic Party moved on from President Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. It's exactly that same scenario.
He says months before Trump wins. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. And then you had all these like things and things about, who's it going to be? Is it going to be the guy, Andy Brashear? Like,
yeah.
You never know what was going to happen. It was crazy.
Yeah. No, I get it, man. And we'll see. Like, I do think that actually schematically McLeod fits the offense better.
100%.
He can move better. He doesn't have the strongest arm, but like I don't think you have to have a strong arm to play in this offense. And he has a strong enough arm to be able to, stretch the field. So I'm very excited. And people always talk about the offense was great last year. This offense was near the bottom of the country in turnovers. Like they kept handing. Go back and watch that Arkansas State game. It's not the defense. The defense wasn't great, but it was not the defense giving up 70 points.
Yeah. It was put in bad scenarios all the time too, because we also refused to punt all the time.
They were very aggressive. They were very aggressive, and so that resulted in either pick sixes or hey, guess what? The opposing offense has the ball at the 40, and so it's like, oh, okay. It was a lot of those type of things.
What gives me PTSD to this day is the "it's third down" sound at Bobcat Stadium.
And you just know it's like, oh, it's about to be a conversion.
I'm like, oh my God. And I see the little graphic that they have on the screen, and I'm like, oh no, this is stuff of nightmares for me right now. Yeah. And every time we get a third down conversion, I'm like, oh my God, that's
amazing. It's happening. That was the other thing, is like, I am interested in the defense, but like so much of like last year's offense was very baffling to me because not schematically, like I think obviously Leftwich and Kinney have a great scheme and they know what they're doing, but rhythm wise, if they started great, they're kicking some team's ass, right? Like that was 100% true. If they scored on one of those opening 2 drives, you know they were winning that game. If they punted on that first drive, you're like, what's happening here, right? Yeah. If the other team forced a punt on that first drive, you're like, because you knew that next drive probably gonna be a punt. That third drive, you may get a field goal. Like it was very stop and start. And if they did not start right away, buddy, we were in for a rough day.
It's a really big mood ring. They're like play calls and the offensive like scheme of it all. Like you could tell what was going or like what they were kind of seeing, Yep. Very cool.
Yeah.
I also named their offense the Supercat spread offense. That's in a DCTF article somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on this podcast, of course, I called it the Supercat spread. So I'm very partial to it. It's the same reason I use the Texas State offense in our league for the DCTF.
It's fun as hell,
league.
man.
Yeah, and I play as Marshall, which is not a great team in the game. Do not play as that. What I know, because I'm a scientist-ish and a part-time coach for CFB.
Okay.
TJ Finley still somehow has eligibility. And so in the
Western
game,
Kentucky.
right, your first year you play with Jordan McLeod, obviously. He ends up going to the professional league in my game because, you know, he won the Heisman Trophy.
There you go.
I play on Heisman, by the way, so this isn't just like whatever.
Okay.
For real.
Yeah.
But then I re-recruited actually TJ Finley to come back.
He always jumps in the portal after his first year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why are you jumping back in the portal in the game?
It's crazy.
It's funny.
Which is crazy too, because in real life, he just, I guess it was announced as the starting quarterback at Western Kentucky, but I thought that's why he left Texas State, to be the outright guy.
Yeah. Whatever. I don't know if that's just a coaching thing or what, but yeah, it's very funny that he had to, that he was like, he had to earn the job, quote unquote, but it's like,
it does seem like bought media at this point. But
yeah.
Well, I don't even know what their mascot is. It's a red thing, right? Or
the Hilltopper. Yeah. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but it's
like Grimace, but red.
Yeah, basically, yes.
I know the magazine has Texas State at 9-3.
Yep.
There's some bones in your body that are like, this could be better than 9-3 for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I'm trying to think of the losses. I think I had, if I can remember, I had Arizona State. I think I had Troy. I think I may have. Did I do UTSA? I can't remember.
It was week games too, and I think there's like 3 times that this team has to do like a 5-day turnaround, which is very tough on the body. With the
very tough, very tough. I think I might have done UTSA. I think it was UTSA, Arizona State, and Troy. Yeah. Which, by the way, there are streets burning down in San Marcos if they are 2-3. After the month of September, there is panic in the streets, which that scenario would happen because of course all 3 of those games are within the first 5. So there is like Kenny out, #Kenny out things going on if those are the exact 3 losses.
I guess it's what we need to keep them. So good thing, bad thing.
You know what? Yeah, get the shine off a little bit. No, because then they win every game after that, and the momentum is back at high. So it's like, I don't know. Spread those out a little bit, or I don't know how you want to handle that, but I don't know if I want to win like 7.
Win up front and then lose 4 straight. And like, what's going on?
Yeah, give some mystery in there in a little bit. It's like drop to ULM, drop a game to ULM. It's like, oh, there you go. Oh, well, that's a weird one. We can't hire this guy. He lost to ULM.
They like had like either a 2-game or a 3-game like road like weeks last year that I was like, God, are we terrible again? Like, what's going on? It was Coastal, Arkansas State.
That's right.
And I guess it was Louisiana because they ended up dropping that and they came all the way back.
Yeah.
So I was very sad back in that.
Yeah. I will say, I'm very interested in the defenses here. Like Dexter McCoy, that's not nothing. This is a first-year. They have a first-year coordinator on defense, a guy who was playing football 4 years ago, right? Like, I think there is something to be said about one, how Kenny just didn't go get, ex-veteran guy to run his defense after Pat Key left, but also like a guy who's been coaching college for 3 years. Like, he has not been a college coach for long. He had 1 year of high school coaching experience after playing in the CFL. So it's like he coached in Louisiana. He got hired at UIW, and then last year was Texas State, and then now he's defensive coordinator. So like, I don't know what a Dexter McCoy defense looks like, right? In game scenarios. I don't know what he's like as a play caller. I know that Bradley Del Pavito is going to be a big sounding board for him, former defense coordinator at UTEP, but this is his defense. And I'll give a big credit to Pat Key. This defense probably is not the most, if you're on the defensive staff, it's probably not the best situation to be put in with the offense that they run, right? Because it's like, cool, we were just out there 2 minutes ago and now we got to go back.
But he kind of made it. What the heck?
Yeah. But it's like, it's fun. It's interesting because like he kind of made that situation work. They got a lot of turnovers. They were very aggressive as far as sacks go. So like he kind of made it
third down stops.
Yeah. Like it was very, he kind of worked with what he had. which is why I'm very interested to see him at Duke, to see what they can do there. But is that going to be the same approach that McCoyle has? I don't know. I mean, obviously it worked at times last year, in terms of takeaways and all that. So I'm just curious to see. That's what I'm going to pay attention more with this Lamar game is like, what's the defense look like?
Yeah. And we're going to see a lot of bodies too. Just, I guess, they play at 7. So like heat's not like terribly an issue, especially because according to the athletics department, the turf is supposed to be like 30 degrees cooler than whatever.
I always love those.
I did not feel a difference. I was burning up on Saturday when I was out there shooting. I
remember the first time it happened I think it was under Withers or under Spav. I couldn't remember when they first replaced the turf. They made such a big deal about the thing, and like the players were like convinced or they thought they would walk on the field and like literally feel like coolness or whatever. And it was like, no, it's still searing hot. It's just less searing hot. Like it's like they were walking on there. It's like, it still feels hot. It's like, yeah, no, we need to stop saying that the turf is cooler. Cause like, that's not how it works. It's less hot.
What was I going to say? Oh, this take actually is specifically for all the old heads talking about the transfer portal stuff because the Jonathan Patke stuff, that job was secured well before the bowl game. He announced it after the fact. We got all the push notifications after the bowl game itself.
Right.
But that was totally secured before. So, I mean, the coaches are just as bad as the players sometimes.
Oh,
not just as bad as the players. The players are young men trying to get an education and an opportunity somewhere. But
sure. Yeah. I mean, hey, look, if you see a better opportunity, you're going to take it. There's nothing wrong with that on either side.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think he hooks up back with, his defensive guru at Duke.
Yeah.
Right?
Manny Diaz.
Yeah. There you go. So that's why. Well, dang. That was basically all I wanted to talk about. It's just very like deep, but not deep preview at all. We went behind the scenes with you and I's coverage of the team back in the day. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of things have changed. And that's kind of like my takeaway basically from media day is how differently this team is seen like on the national scale, regionally, and then locally too. Because if it makes it to like conversations in my newsroom in San Antonio, it's like, oh, what? We've never talked about this team before. Jacob, you're the expert.
It's funny to see like when NCAA came out, it's funny to be a fan of the team that everybody wants to play as. Because it was like, oh, Texas State, I got to play as Texas State, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, man, that's crazy. Like, that's like, we're never the team that everybody wanted to play. We were the team that you wanted to take because they were so bad and build them up to the national championship.
We were the OG Kennesaw State.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we were the team, us and UTEP. I remember in 2014, it was us, UTEP, and North Texas were always the teams that's like, oh, we got to build them up to blah, blah, blah. And it's like, now it's like, oh, dude, you got to play as Texas State if you want to do something pretty fun in this game because their playbook's good, their players are fun. And it was like, this is all new to me, man. I mean, I agree, but it's just new to hear it.
I silenced actually Neyland Stadium in CFB 25.
There you go.
This kid I was playing against had no idea what I was doing. I was just being the Bobcats, man.
He's like, why does this wide receiver have no gloves? Like, it's like,
I did lose that game.
Why does Joey Hobart have no gloves and why does he catch everything?
For real. You got one crazy take for the fans, for the fan and you-ish? What's your one crazy take?
Man, crazy take. Yeah, I mean,
mine is Bo Sparks might be the best receiver alive, at least according to CFB 25.
I did love that we got another white wide receiver
from Utah Tech.
That at first I thought he didn't also wear gloves, but he has gloves. He has no I think it's the reverse Hobart. Hobart has turf tape, no gloves. He have no turf tape with gloves. So it's very funny that they're literally from the same school and they're like inverts of each other. I'm trying to think. I think we're gonna lead the Sun Belt in rushing.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah, that's an actual educational take. I don't have more. I guess I've weeded out the.
We robbed UTEP blind for their running back coach, and then they're basically
I was about to say they
running back
both their starting running backs, and with of course Mahdi, and they get Lincoln Perry back. And by the way, Jalen Jenkins is actually pretty good. So like, I think that's the fact that that's their fourth or fifth running back. That's crazy to me. I think they lead the Sun Belt in rushing. I really do.
This might be very different from last year when they were just like,
oh yeah. I mean,
they got Ishmael, they got a bunch of people like you were just saying.
Yeah, like I think somebody like Chris Don's going to step up a lot, but the wide receiver core is different. Ashton Hawkins is a reliable guy. Like that's a big guy to lose to that core. So I think they're gonna be running the ball a lot more. A fight. I was trying to think of more of an entertaining take than that one though, but I can't.
Do you think Ashton stays if he didn't have as many drops as he had last year, and he like saw like a lot of success?
No, because like I mean, a chance to play at Baylor. Like
Yeah, true.
he was an 800-yard receiver. He likes Spav. He was gonna leave anyway after Spav got fired. So like, I think he would have left anyway. Now maybe he gets better than Baylor. Maybe I think Baylor's a good landing spot for him. Don't get me wrong, but maybe he goes SEC if he has maybe a more productive year a year ago.
Shout out Spav saying we're all coaching for our jobs this year.
Dude, he was honest, man. He was honest. And that's one thing. I'll say that. That's one thing I've always liked about Spav. I think Spav was the right mindset in terms of like he wanted to win, right? He really did. It wasn't just like people looked at the way he recruited and it was like, oh, he didn't care about whatever. He wanted to win. He really did.
Yeah, and he cared about players. He was a players coach.
Yeah, players coach. He was blunt, man. He there was no sugarcoating anything around Spav, which I appreciate. As a media member, he was very much like, yeah, no, it was like if something went wrong, he's like, yeah, I don't know what happened there. He's like, that's crazy. He was that kind of coach.
Initially, too, when that hire was made, I mean, everybody freaked out about it, right? Like,
yeah. Dude, he was like
off the Will Greer shit, and then
like
San Marcos, like
it was like I didn't think they could hire Spav. I was like, we got Jay Spavital's coming here. Are you kidding me? Like, I didn't think that was possible.
He played well with the administration, played well. Yeah, with like the fans loved him until they didn't, and then
I like Spav. I'll always be a fan of Spav. As a person, so I hope he does succeed. Just because, like I said, I don't think any coach succeeds with the previous administration. So
yeah, it was tough. And if this administration hadn't like bought in the way that they did, we might be like leagues below where we are now.
I was about to say, yeah. Well, I mean, we were losing to UIW, and we may still be losing to UIW.
We wouldn't have the level of NIL engagement. We wouldn't have anything that we have now if we didn't fight as big as we did, even with or without Kinney. Even if whoever is in the seat right now,
Exactly.
Ish, I could talk to you about Texas State all day, but I'll let you get back to everything that you do. Thanks for joining us, man.
Appreciate you, man. It's always a good time. Anytime you want me to come on, I'll gladly talk to Bobcats because I can, I can talk about this for hours on random tangents like we went on.
Oh yeah, man. Okay, Andy, we're finally going to talk about the game of the week. The game of the week, Lamar at Texas State, the mighty Lamar Fighting Cardinals versus your Texas State Bobcats. Currently, right now, ESPN has the line at like fuck.
I think it's like 13.5.
Yeah, the line's like 13.5 right now. It's embarrassing.
Double check that, but I'm pretty sure.
ESPN matchup predictor 96% in favor of the Bobcats. Good news, right?
That I'll tell you right there, that's rat poison.
That's rat poison.
That's the biggest rat poison. That's 100% rat poison. Because here's the thing: if there's one thing you got to know about Texas State, it's their inability to beat teams that they should beat in previous years. Lamar comes into this matchup as the heavy underdog. It's a 7:00 kickoff. Texas State's trying to get that reputation of being the do not play the Bobcats after dark team. Like when the lights come on, you don't want to play Texas State because the stadium's going to be rocking. It's going to be locked in. I haven't seen as much hype coming into this week 1 game as we saw last year against Baylor. I understand that Lamar's not Baylor.
We didn't have any sort of hype going into that game. It was like negative
Texas
hype.
State,
it was
Texas
like
State
we're going to
Athletics
lose
did,
this game.
No. Texas State Athletics did. I saw a lot more tweets, a lot more excitement going. Let's all go to Waco. Let's make this happen.
Was that because of the Quattro Corners cartel, though, Andy? What do you think?
Maybe. I don't know.
At this time last year, we only had like 400 followers. Now we have 1,000. So, I don't know.
Well, look, I'll say this. I hope that the stadium is absolutely jam-packed because the graphic that I want Texas State to put out week after week after week is sold out. I want to see the sold out graphic every week when it comes to Texas State. We haven't seen that yet, and we're recording this on Thursday. I hope that we sell a bunch more tickets between the recording this pod and game time.
I got a feeling that
I
we're not
hope we
going to
do.
pack out the stadium on the first game of
You don't think we're going to pack out
year?
first game?
Nah, I don't think so.
See, and that's a
I think it's a
problem to
late
me.
kick, and I just
That
don't.
should be
I
that
remember,
should be a pro.
well, I remember being the tailgater in chief that I was. I remember for late kicks, you don't really go to the game after.
But I don't give a shit about the students. I mean, like, I hope the students come. I mean, like, the Texas
no, I know, but where
State's-
do you think the majority of the fucking in-game attendance numbers come from? Students or the outside? It's not the outside.
I'm hoping that it becomes the outside. I'm hoping that right now it's like
guess
60
what, brother?
40. I'm hoping closer it's 50-50 this year. I want
for a
alumni
long
coming
time,
back.
UPD should go, hey, do you want a minor in possession or do you want to go to the game?
Ooh. Walk them, escort them into the stadium.
Also, last year,
What could possibly go wrong with that by putting drunk people in a stadium? What could
at this
possibly
time
go wrong?
last year, the home opener, right? Jackson State, we scored 70 on those boys. Rest in peace. I was walking around, made the fatal mistake of doing one of my little Twitter stand-ups in Tailgate Central. Immediately harassed by a bunch of dudes, a bunch of drunk women.
Who do you know here?
Accosted. Who do I know there? And I know a lot of people. Let me just tell you.
Oh yeah, you affiliated?
Oh, dude, I'm affiliated. Yeah.
Yeah. What letters you dropping when they ask you who you with?
Dude.
Uh-huh.
I'm with KENS. I'm with the Quattro Corners Cartel.
That's pretty good.
I know.
Well, the Squarin, I'm with the Squarin boys.
Maroon and Golden's going like all out for this. So if you see the Maroon and Golden and the scout team tailgaters, shout out. Tell them
is our invitation
and the boys sent you.
Is our invitation still open with them?
Yeah, I'm sure. What, to go drink or to go? You don't even
go hang out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't drink before I write or do anything really anymore. So,
Jamie, get the chip fact checker up. Get the fact checker up there, Jamie.
It's true. I've been sober for more than a month. The haters said I couldn't do it. Guess who went on a sober float? Boom. Guess who went to a bar and drink? Boom. I know. Actually, the first 2 weeks I started breaking out. Terrible.
Yeah. Started getting the shakes. Alcohol withdrawal.
Here's what I was talking about with Ish, though, is that I have like PTSD with this team because like it felt like for a while, like Texas State would do well and then inevitably be like, well, this is a Texas State way to lose this game. Like just some random series of events would happen. And then we would get like, we would just lose shit. You know, do you still fear that? Do you fear
Let me ask you, I was going to ask you that same question. Is that in the rearview mirror now? Or do you still have those panics?
Honestly, on third down conversions, I'm not confident ever, to be honest. Like when I hear that,
I'm not either.
Go, it's third down, and I said that in the podcast. I already used that joke, but still,
no, I'm kind of concerned too about Texas State because, like I said, last year was a great Cinderella run, 8-5 season. We were very, very much a 6-6 podcast, and for Texas State to win their first bowl game, it kind of felt like just icing on the cake. And it almost felt like a year early, right? What I'm hoping is that we take that momentum and we continue to carry on. Now, we've talked for close to like 9 months now about this program, about the transfer portal, about bringing in Jordan McLeod and Joey Hobart being here and all of the stuff that Texas State has been able to kind of carry over from last year to this year. But third down conversion and third down defense are the two things that when you come into a game against Lamar, who you're supposed to beat by multiple scores, that will be the first like, okay, hey, what do we, or how good is this team really? I will say this. There is not a better game for Texas State to play in week 1 than Lamar. A home game against an FCS opponent. This is every other team in the country gets like a kind of a ratcheted up type of game. Not a cupcake, but like a ratchet up type of game. And that's what Lamar is. It's hey, I want to see what the walk-ons, I want to see what the second string guys look like in the third and fourth quarter. And Texas State has a chance to play their third and fourth string guys.
I don't know if you heard this, but there's a manufactured quarterback battle going on at the University of Texas at San Antonio and also at Texas State University.
What?
This week, GJ Kinney was like, RJ Martinez has played well. I think we owe him the opportunity to see what he's made of. We're going to see Jordan McLeod get the start. Duh. And then we're going to see a lot of other people, a lot of other packages, a lot of other personnel coming out on offense, defense, and special teams because these guys don't know what they have. If you saw our tweet about the depth chart, It's like, yo, what the fuck? Oh, you're texting Craven right now?
Yep.
Let me say, come on the pod after Texas State beats UTSA. Only if I'm guaranteed a spot when UTSA beats Texas State. All right. Looks like we got a gentleman's wager.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So
Yeah, bring me on that.
This is what you were doing the whole time. I was being all professional.
Bring me on that Aggie War pod, Craven.
You want the Aggie War pod?
I want to be on every pod he's on that week. I'm so serious. Put me on every media
he's
availability.
Gonna be there.
Yeah, he will. He'll be at that game. Every
he's
media
be there.
availability.
He's gonna be there. I know Carter's gonna be there.
Why are they bringing the whole crew?
Jay Arnold is gonna be there.
So what is your? So let's get real here.
Mm-hmm.
What are your expectations?
Actual real projections for the team?
Yeah. What is your expectation for week 1? Who do you expect to come out of this game as the leader? You know, Joey Hobart had that big game against Baylor last year that really propelled him. Are you seeing the same thing? What are your expectations in week 1 and going forward?
Bo Sparks going nuts. Ishmael Mahdi going crazy, dog. I think we're gonna run the ball down these guys' throats. I think we're gonna see not a real quarterback battle happen, but I think we're gonna see a lot of like different things that they're working on in preparation, of course, for week 2. UTSA's defense is apparently supposed to be godlike, which makes up for their quarterback situation not being anything, and also manufactured quarterback battle. It's gonna be Owen McCowan, who's gonna get the start, and he's gonna be the starter all year.
It reminds me, and again, I don't want to go too deep in my bag here, but it reminds me of what North Dakota State did for years, which was a great running game, great defense. The quarterback play, it matters, but not a lot. We're not really concerned about wide receivers, tight ends, or quarterback play. It's run the ball, play defense. That's what UTSA is doing.
Apparently, their best receiver, JT Clark, is not listed on their depth chart. So people are like, where the hell is this guy? He's dealing with some sort of injury. I don't know.
Could be in county, the way UTSA has been going. So,
Jesus Christ. Okay.
I mean, am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong.
You're not. They've dealt with a lot of offseason things. You're right.
They got a lot of off the field problems. Keep the boys out of the Benzes.
Hey, it's all fun and games until that shit happens to us. I mean, then guess what? It's not fun. And there have already been offseason things that have happened that this podcast has not been a part of covering.
The culture,
I'm just saying.
The culture at Texas State is just completely different. GJ Kenny, he runs a clean ship. It would never happen at Texas State.
Man, there are skeletons in every program's closet.
Nah, not going to happen not in my university.
Okay, sure.
Not in my university.
Looking at a mugshot right now, one guy on the team.
Not in my university.
All right.
I'm going to go Ishmael Mahdi propels himself onto the top 15 list when it comes to running backs in the country after week 1. You know, they do those way too early. Yeah, way too early awards. Ishmael is going to have the type of game. I'm going. He's not going to play the entire game. I'm going to go buck 10, 1 score, but it's going to be a big run, like a 20, 30-yard run that's really going to propel him. People who play NCAA know. People who watch him
getting over 100
know,
yards in the first half, and then
people know that he's a baller. People know that he's a baller, but it's going to be this type of game, especially when you look at the rest of the state, where UT just lost their 2 top running backs. I'm not sure what A&M's going to do. I'm not exactly positive what SMU's run game or North Texas's run. A&M
has Emmitt Smith's kid, don't they?
I mean, cool. UCF had Marcus Jordan. That doesn't really move the needle for me.
And Georgia Southern Miss had Frank Gore's son.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't. That doesn't mean
genealogy.
Doesn't mean anything to me. The last name on the jersey doesn't mean shit. My point being, Ishmael propels himself. Texas State wins by 3 scores. We haven't done it. I'm going to do it. Final score prediction. I'm going to go 48-20. I think that Lamar gets a garbage touchdown at the end to make it look a little closer than it actually is. 48-20 is my prediction for Texas State Lamar.
Plus 50, Texas State, Lamar gets 14. I think they scored twice on us.
They get 50?
14.
I'm saying Texas State gets 50?
Yeah, plus 50 points. It could go higher than that.
I don't think we get to 50.
Okay.
I'm firmly in the I don't think Texas State scores. Oh, they scored 70 last year, though. But I just don't. Yeah. I don't think that Texas State's going to be putting up those type of numbers again this year.
Think of the things that are going on, though, Zim. this team needs to generate headlines to stay relevant. That's what they got to do.
Do you think so?
They got to score a bunch of fucking points.
Do you think so? Do you think that that's like? I don't think so.
Billion%. If we barely beat Lamar, like
barely beat Lamar, we should beat them.
We got to
by
shut the door
scores.
on these guys to remain relevant.
I don't remain relevant. Nah, I don't think
so. And then guess what? We got to beat UTSA next week. Also
that
in a dominant fashion.
That game does matter.
If you drop one game, do you think you'll be in the CFP convo anymore? No, not really.
If you lose to Lamar, no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. Come on.
Yeah. If you lose to Arizona State, maybe.
Perhaps, yeah.
You just got to win the group of 5.
Wait, have you said what your final year projection is?
I have not. Do you want to do it?
I've said on this podcast 12-0. This team that I saw last weekend did not look like a 12-0 team. It looked like 11-1 at best.
11-1 is still really good.
No, I understand, but like, you know how many things have to go perfectly right to be 11-1? You know,
I'm going 10-2. I think the 2 losses in the regular season, at least, are going to come when Arizona State comes to town. I just have a bad feeling it's a Thursday night game. There's something in my gut I'm worried about that.
I think we show up, but I think we lose a conference game. And that's what
I'm saying. Short week after UTSA.
We do I think it's 2 or 3 5-day turnarounds between, because we have 2 midweek games and then we have another one on a Saturday that's an earlier kick or something like that. So it's a lot of tough traveling for our Bobcats.
I just get anxious with the 5-day turnaround against an FBS opponent. That's really what it comes down to. So I'm going.
People are saying we should be afraid of Sam. Do you think so? Sam Houston? Old Sam Houston State?
No, I'm not. I'm
rivalry
not as concerned.
Rebirth?
I'm not as concerned about Sam Houston State. I don't think that's the end of the world. All right, so here it is. So our boys well, okay, hold on. You talk to Ish on this pod, and you go 11-1. Well, how interesting that his prediction for the season in the magazine is 11-1. Oh, a real mind meld there.
Well, but the magazine overall picked the Bobcats at 9-3. And
they picked them at 11.
If we get 9 wins, for some reason for this fan base now, it feels like a drop. All
right, let's go through. Let's go through. Let's do it together. You ready to do it together?
Yes.
Lamar this week.
Dub.
1-0. UTSA next week.
Dub.
2-0. Arizona State on 5 days.
I really want to say W because they're not good, and I think we do show up for that game.
A Thursday night game at home. I'm just, like I said, you don't have to travel, but 5 days against an FBS opponent, that's never easy. I'm going loss 2-1. Sam Houston State at NRG.
Dub. I'm going to go 4-0 to start.
I got 3-1 to start the season. 3-1 to start the season at Troy. See, now this is the hardest possible conference opponent to start. Now, talking to my Troy Trojan Wall guys, they say Texas State's going to win this game.
Really?
They think that Troy's
have no faith in new Troy coach.
They think that Troy's defense is good. They don't love the offense. Texas State is the type of team that's going to lean on you, like with the running game and the passing game. They're going to score some points. It might come in the second half. I had it at loss. I'm going win. I'm saying 4-1 after 5 weeks.
Okay. Well, with that magic that you just said, I will go 5-0 to start the year.
Okay.
Into the conference season we go.
All right. So 1-0 to start conference play.
Yeah.
Arkansas State at home.
I think that is the biggest trap game of the year. I think we lose that one at home.
Okay. I have that as a win. I thought we should have beat them last year. They
scored 70 on us.
Yeah. I have a couple pick sixes. Well,
with a true freshman quarterback.
A really bad turn for the Bobcats. And look, you come after. I think that Arkansas State, or I think that the Arizona State loss is what's really going to propel this team. Once you get rid of the 0 on the right hand of the column, it makes life a little easier. You don't have that pressure on you.
Breathe a little easier.
I'm going win here, 5-1.
Okay, cool. And I am 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5-1 as well.
Okay, so you have a loss. All right.
Yeah.
At Old Dominion.
Oh, I think we mollywop those boys.
I think so too. 6-1.
Statistically, Mac Leftwich's best game ever as a quarterback at the University of Texas El Paso was against Old Dominion.
So this game, 10 days. So you get a little bit of break here. 10 days. Louisiana at home. Now this might be the
by the way, there's a bye week between what is it? Arizona State and Sam
Houston State. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
So in case you guys are doing the math at home.
Yeah. So 10-day turnaround on ODU to Louisiana. It's a home game. This might be the second best team in the West. This might be the second best team in the Sun Belt. The game is at home. I'm going loss.
I think so too.
I think this shakes things up. So 6-2.
Yeah, 6-2 for both of us. Look at that, and we ended up in the same world.
At ULM, it's a cakewalk. 7-2. I'm not worried about that one.
That team did almost beat us last year, but I think it was a unique situation. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think they beat us or even come close in year 2.
Southern Miss, bad team. Don't think they got it much better. They're gonna have a good defense. Offense is gonna stinky. I'm going 7-2. Yeah. Right, we're 7-2 now.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Georgia State, honestly, probably the third best team in the Sun Belt East. We don't have to. We really skated away from playing JMU, Coastal, App State this year. It's looking pretty good. This is really where it comes down to. You have to hope that Louisiana loses and trips up against some team, because I think that they beat Georgia State and I beat South Alabama on the road to end the season. You're looking at 10-2 going into. I'm hoping a conference championship, but again, it's going to be tough because Louisiana, if they win their games in their conference, that is really where it's going to be like,
where you make your bread and butter.
Yeah. So just to go through, I want to go through the Louisiana schedule really quick with you, Jakey, because we don't need to go through the non-conference. Non-conference doesn't matter. Go to the conference. They play at Southern Miss to start. They have to host App State. They've got to they host Coastal. So those might be the two best teams in the East.
Mm-hmm.
So you hope that they drop one of those two. Texas State in San Marcos. It's going to be a tough one. They host Arkansas State. They host South Alabama. They host Troy. So they got those two really tough Eastern opponents to start their conference play. I'm hoping that that's the thing that really shakes them off their game. Maybe if they come in with 2 losses in conference or a loss in conference, things, the tiebreakers will go to who won what in the West. You hope that they drop a game later in the season, but the 2 losses on the schedule for Texas State, FBS opponent on a short week, and Louisiana.
Yeah.
So 10-2. We're going 10-2. We're both 10-2.
10-2 podcast. So anything else is a failure?
No, because injuries happen.
You're okay with 9? You okay with 8?
6. I'm okay with 6.
You're okay with 6 wins?
I'm okay with 6 if it's a bowl game. Are you okay with 6? A bowl berth? Really?
No.
What's the least amount of wins?
7.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to go 7-5.
Because now, for our fan base, bowl eligibility is like a must. That's like a demarcator of success,
Yeah.
Anything less than that is a failure now. And now, provided we go on like a 2-game or 3-game lose streak, God forbid, everybody's like, what are we doing? We're
all right.
In full
well,
mode.
I just looked up Bet MGM's Texas State win total. They have us at 8.5.
Really?
So a lot of people would say anything less than 9 wins would be disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
So we said 10-2. Vegas is usually right. I'd like us, 10-2. The real question will be, can you beat JMU / App State / I guess Coastal, maybe Marshall, probably Coastal. Can you beat any of those 3 teams in the Sun Belt championship game?
Yeah.
Because if you do that, then all of a sudden you're looking at potentially a 12 seed. You're looking at potentially a 12 seed. UTSA struggles, Tulane struggles, Boise State struggles. Those are the things that you have to hope for. And it's nice to be a Texas State fan. For the longest time, you were just really looking at Arkansas State and ULM, hoping that one of those in Coastal. Hey, I hope these 3 teams suck so we're not the worst team in the conference.
Hoping the entire West is ass this year. Yeah.
it's a rebuilding year for the West. This is the year for Texas State to win the West for sure. But now as a Texas State fan, I can look at the rest of the group of 5 and go like, okay, hey, I'm rooting against Boise State or against Tulane or UTSA, because if they lose, our chances of going to a bowl game or go to a special bowl game are a lot higher. I'm okay with that, you know? So I feel pretty good about the Bobcats. Now, how would you feel? Again, Alamo Bowl's a little weird. Pac-12 disappears. Big 12, you know, I don't know how that's going to work. If Texas State got an invite to the Alamo Bowl, scheduling wise, it would be great. But Longhorn fans for the longest time bitched and complained about having to just go to San Antonio for the bowl game. Would you be good with a San Antonio Valero Alamo bowl game for Texas State?
This is my impression of UT fans complaining about going to the Alamo Bowl. Yeah. Hey, be better if you don't want to go there then, bro. Jesus
it's not a bad bowl. It's a pretty nice bowl game.
Yeah, it's cute. Whatever. For us, it would be a huge deal too.
And well, the other thing is it's a pretty good
for us,
bowl
it would
game.
be like mega. What are you talking about? We get an oil company to hold a bowl game for us? That's sick.
Well, I'm just saying because a lot of people wouldn't want to come to San Antonio because they live in the San Antonio area.
Hey, sorry, be
I'm
better.
cool with it. I'd be good with it.
If we don't want that, genuinely be better. Fuck.
Really?
Yeah, like
if you have to go to Idaho for the Idaho,
right?
If you have to go to Idaho for the Idaho Potato Bowl, I'm not going to be like, oh damn, I hate. You know,
I would kind of be upset about that personally because I gotta use my vacation time to go to Idaho now. But so maybe I am a bowl game princess now. I'm like, oh, sorry, I enjoy the finer things in life. For the
I want to go to a bowl game that will sell out the beer. I want to have a bowl game that won't have us. Any beer, you know.
Do you remember when the Frisco Scooters Coffee Bowl honeypotted us?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Nuts. On our Twitter or X at Squarin Pod, drop a follow, drop a like. I put a poll out to our listeners. How do we finish the regular season this year? 12-0, 46% of the vote. 10-2, 31% of the vote.
Okay.
9-3, 17% of the vote. 6% voted for something else, and they dropped their comments down below. So
a lot of what did the comments say? 9-3.
A lot of comments are 11-1. Some people said 9-3. That is a choice in the poll. So thanks for reading that sentence, dog. 10-2. There's a lot of people are like, okay, this could be very good. Maybe like 10-2. We go to a championship game, or it's like 9-3, and we're just a little bit better than last year, and we go to a bowl game.
You got it.
Either way, that's not a failure.
A little bit better. I mean, like a whole game better. I'd say that's a pretty big deal. Good. I would take that.
What are the games we should have won last year? That
Arkansas State, Coastal that's 2 right off the bat.
Yeah, and I asked GJ about both of those games, and he didn't say anything. Remember that?
Shocking. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, "Is there any game that you're like, that was kind of on us?" And he was like,
"All of them."
No, to be honest, no.
I think
should we have beat Troy at home?
Well, maybe. The thing is though about him,
he had that game. Is the thing
every game that Texas State loses, I think as a coach, he's like,
does it make us stronger now?
We should have been better. You know, I don't think any coach. I genuinely don't believe a guy like GJ loses a game, goes into the locker room and goes like, yeah, they just were better than us. I think most of the time. He's like, we could have played better. This ball bounces this way or that way. We win the game. So I'm very excited to go to Columbus, Ohio to play in the college football playoffs.
If we go to Columbus and I have to use my vacation days to spend Christmas with you in Columbus, Ohio, I'm gonna be pissed.
It'd be good. It'd be a good time. We'd be the.
You know what would suck? I'm supposed to run the San Antonio Marathon over here, December 8th. I don't think there's bowl games around that schedule, but
early, no, you should be okay. It depending on what bowl game Texas gets, yeah.
If it is the Alamo Bowl, that's perfect for me.
It's the 20. I think our Alamo Bowl, I think it's like the 24th.
Yeah, something like that.
So anyway, I'm excited. So 10-2 or a 10-2 pod?
10-2 pod up from a 6-6 last year.
That's wild.
Okay, so for this podcast, right? You've already said you're cool with 6 wins, right?
Yeah.
Just want bowl eligibility at the end of the day. So that's like our barometer for success. And 10-2 is as high as we will go on this team. Maybe.
No, I gun to my head, perfect season. We're talking gun to my head, perfect season. We're going and not talking conference championship, not talking bowl game, not talking college football playoffs. We're talking like going undefeated in the regular season. I would give us a 1-in-4 chance because the two teams that I think we're going to lose to, Louisiana, or I should say Arizona State and Louisiana, I wouldn't be shocked if we beat Arizona State. I wouldn't be shocked if we beat Louisiana. I would be genuinely surprised, but I wouldn't be shocked. So I'm going 25% chance that we go perfect. That's not bad percentage.
Yeah, no, I feel pretty
Which means
good.
every fourth day I wake up thinking we could go perfect. By the way,
I'm really, really nervous about week 2. It's all I've been thinking about.
For UTSA?
I've been compulsively.
All right, let me ask you this: 1-11, but we beat UTSA.
Or you mean 11-1? We beat UTSA?
No, 1-11.
Oh,
that's the only win.
Ooh. I mean, I'm feeling pretty good around week 2, but around week 6 or 7, I'm like,
damn it. I can't believe I get. Here's the thing. I wouldn't mind it at all because a 1-11, Texas State team, a 1-11 Texas State team that beat UTSA.
And we know GJ's not going anywhere, I guess.
Well, and also the spin zone, UTSA doesn't get in the playoffs because they lost to a 1-win team. Okay.
True.
GJ Kenny isn't leaving because we beat one team and he did his schedule. He got a lot worse, right?
Arguably, yeah.
The conference that UTSA plays in is a cupcake because that means we lost every conference game, meaning the Sun Belt's better than the conference they play in. I mean, honestly, 1-11, but we beat UTSA. I don't mind. I think I can get my head around it. If it's 1-11, but here's the other thing.
I've talked about this CFB 25 in the Dave Campbell's league. I play as Marshall. It's ass. Don't do it. I don't know why. I don't pay attention to the East. That's why stupid, right? Whatever. I woke up when I played UTSA. That's the only win I have right now.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the other part is too, like, if you beat UTSA and that's the only win you have on the calendar, we don't have any of the stupid ass t-shirts. We don't have any of the dumbass tweets. We don't have any of the comments. Like,
we don't have any of the guys loitering around San Marcos buildings.
Exactly. And the other part is, I'll be complete. If you said 1-11, but I have to live in North Dakota for the football season and it's cold and it's windy and it sucks. Yeah, that's awful. I'm probably not taking it. I'm in sunny San Antonio. Hey, Texas State's losing by 4 scores at halftime. I'm going to go ride a bike. I'm going to go out. I'm going to go do something else. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not.
Well, you're going to go see and make sure your car is still there. That's what you're going to do outside your apartment.
Exactly. I have.
You're going to make sure your packages get delivered in a timely fashion.
I got other things to do, right? But like in North Dakota, 1-11, that might kill me. But down here, I could survive 1-11, beat UTSA. No, I'm glad we did this. Craven, you and I come on the pod. We're talking about this.
Now you and I can watch all the away games together, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Before, you and I would just get on 4-hour-long FaceTimes and just
dead ass, bro.
You can imagine why I'm single now.
No kidding. We really would do that. I forgot about that.
That was before the pod. We just for 3 or 4 years, right? Whatever we were graduated from.
No, we would get on FaceTime and pull up ESPN Plus and we'd watch the game together. I totally forgot about that.
I wouldn't even believe that. At certain parts in the season, I would not have an ESPN Plus account because I would get mad and cancel my subscription. So Andrew would call the game for me on the line.
I forgot about that.
How cute
that was crazy.
Yeah.
ESPN, call me. Let's get a deal.
Speaking of which, I need to get my cable guy on the line. Make sure all my Red Zone, my ESPN's dialed in.
ESPN or your Indian cable's not working?
Indian cable guy, yeah. I have a burner box right now, so shout out.
Did you see, by the way, in other sports media news, you see ESPN did the smartest thing in the fucking world with the Watch Now? All right. Do you use your ESPN on your desktop computer?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, it used to have like your teams. There's a little TV box.
Oh my God. Find where to watch all your favorite sports?
Yes.
Holy
dude.
Shit.
Smartest thing. I've been saying this for a decade.
So it's like a live TV guide.
Yes, it's a TV guide. So if you want to watch the game, you can click, and if you have the subscriptions, you click on it, and it takes you right there.
And as a matter of fact, I do.
You click on a Texas State game with a little ESPN Plus. You click on that, you're watching the game.
Dude,
it's so smart. So smart.
Dude, this is gonna get me in trouble in the press
Mhm.
box. Oh, so you're gonna be there. You and me are gonna be at this game.
Yes.
This is the first time I'm seeing you today for this week. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna get a whole day of Andy on Saturday. I'm excited.
And you will too if you find us walking around San Marcos.
And by the way, Zim, my prayers from the athletics department were answered. 2 tiers of press passes this year. White, which gets you in the box itself. That's what you got. Gray, which gets you on the field. That's what I got because I have a little camera with me.
Oh wow! So I don't get field access, huh?
No, not until after the game. Yeah.
Wow.
No.
Damn. Okay, I see how you roll.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just figured that you would like that more. I don't know.
I do. I would like that more.
Exactly.
I'll be on the sideline for.
You
a
like
game.
rubbing shoulders with all the other riders.
I'm a media snob, man.
I just
like
want
being...
a chair up there because that's come on, the house that Jacob built. Let's be honest.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you there.
I'm front row Joe. I should be there.
That's no front row Jake.
Front row Jake. Yeah.
By the way, shout out to our guy.
I've held that same chair there since I graduated. Just saying.
Really?
Had the same spot.
In the press conference?
No, not in the press conference. The box.
Really?
Yeah. I've always had that one spot.
Interesting.
Pretty sick with the star, and then since we started this deal.
How'd that work?
I don't know. Chris, shout out Chris.
Just got lucky, I guess. All right.
I did, yeah.
Shout out Kev, got a job at the state or the Express News.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Shout out.
Good for him.
Shout out.
Love me
I have
Bobcat
a lot
coverage.
of friends at the Express, so now
yeah.
Kev and I
By the
circles.
way, Express News ladies who see Jacob at bars, hands off. He's mine. All right. It's getting kind of crazy.
That's funny. I went out with them. That was the sober experience I had, actually. I went to dinner with 2 of my friends who worked at the Express, and then they were like, hey, do you want to go to a bar? And I was like, I'm not drinking right now, but I'll hang out with you, sure. I got to test this.
Here's the
this
thing. If I went out with somebody and they said, I'm not drinking right now, I'm like, what are you, pregnant?
Yeah, my mind is. I got a lot of ideas I want to protect up here.
He's got a tumor.
Oh, my God. No, I just had a Diet Coke.
Oh, well.
Pretty good.
Pretty almost worse. Rat poison.
And then I couldn't sleep that night. I don't know what it was.
Oh, shocking. Shocking. You couldn't sleep after a Diet Coke.
Oh, one Diet Coke. There's like 120 milligrams of caffeine in there. It's not even that bad.
It's not even caffeine. It's like there's arsenic.
I love Diet Coke. Shout out my Aunt Becky.
There you go.
All right. Beat Lamar. Go fight.
State 1-0 this week, baby. Let's do it.
1-0. If we have to get on here and go 0-1 to start the season, I might unplug this podcast.
That's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt.
Yeah, that's tough.
Do you remember when we beat Baylor and they just did like or it was App State and the guy did like a 20-minute recording of just him like in his house going like, how did we lose that game? Do you remember that?
Yes. Yeah, that was good.
That was funny.
So I want to see PJ. I know there's been a lot of talk about RJ, but I really want to see PJ.
I think they'll both probably play. You might see 3 quarterbacks, honestly.
3. Brad Jackson's apparently supposed to look like the next best thing ever. So
yeah,
4?
I'm not
going to see 4 quarterbacks.
I don't think we'll see 4. I think we'll see 3. I think McLeod starts the first half, and then they run PJ and RJ in the second.
No,
and I bet Ish doesn't play the second. I hope Ish doesn't play the second half.
Yeah, I could see him getting 100 yards in the first and then just being sat.
Yeah, just sitting it out.
Mm-hmm.
I got a sweet. Hold on, are we still recording?
Yeah.
Let me show you this sweet shirt I got.
No, let me see.
So they had their pigskin pick'em yesterday, right? So was it like that?
Valero Alamo Bowl. Yeah.
Okay, and then check the back.
That's cool.
It's kind of cool, right? I was like, hell yeah, brother, I'll wear this.
Oh shit. I haven't even said this on the podcast, but we have a pick'em league going. I organized it. It's on our Twitter. Go find it.
Yeah, there's like 4 people in it.
No, there's like 15 now.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
I put it on my Instagram yesterday.
Oh, people jumped in.
People jumped in, yeah.
Cool.
I picked there's 15 people in here right now. So shout out.
Yeah, I think Melissa's one of them too. Or
someone.
The last time we had a brand manager ended up leaving Jake high and dry. So I don't think we'll have a brand manager again. However,
is that just a term for whoever's my girlfriend at the time? She's
no. It's whoever wants to. It's the one who wants to give us advice on how we should be doing the pod.
Oh, there's a lot of people who are brand managers then technically.
Unsolicited advice.
Unsolicited volunteer brand manager work. Yeah.
Yeah. Square picks. All right. What do we got here? Kate. All right. Big Thad. Dirty Dan. Moose Knuckle. That's kind of a wild name.
That's what's his name? Our boy Moose. He does the polls for us.
Oh, shout out. Shout out. Snowcast. All right.
Called him Moose Knuckle. His name's just Moose.
I know.
Zach Webb's in here, the wizard.
The wizard Webb. That was pretty good.
He told me to remind him to make his picks. Guess what, buddy? I ain't fucking doing that. If you finish at the bottom of the barrel, that's on you, Buster.
That's on you, Buster.
Yeah, a lot of
Let's
my
go through it.
friends.
I think that'd be fun. Let's go through. Do you want to go through your picks?
Oh yeah, sure.
Just
I already made them.
Yeah,
I
I
got
did too.
Penn State over West Virginia.
Hold on. Let me go. All right, yeah. Penn State over West Virginia. Same.
Virginia Tech over Vanderbilt.
Got it.
Georgia over Clemson.
Okay, I don't love this.
Oklahoma State over South Dakota State.
Okay.
Northwestern over Miami of Ohio.
Okay.
Florida over Miami.
Okay.
Boise over Georgia Southern.
Ooh, that's gonna be a tough one. Yeah.
South Alabama over UNT.
Okay, I might switch that one up.
I got A&M over the fighting Notre Dame Irish.
I do too. 34%.
I feel like the Aggies are going to be pretty dangerous this year.
Yeah.
And then I got Arizona State over the Wyoming Cowboys.
We went the exact same picks, so that's not great, but
Pick for pick.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Did you really go pick for pick?
Yeah. We were the exact same. The only one I'm least confident in is that Miami Florida game.
So we'll do this all year. If you want, play along. I'll plug it again tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning. This is Friday when you're listening to this. And then Saturday as well, right before kickoff for a lot of these big noon matchups.
Jump in.
Cool. Jump in. Tap in. Thanks for squaring.
We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Better not come any closer.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.